When you're stretched by the right person, you extend, you expand. But when you're stretched by the wrong person, you break. God is trying to remove some things off of you, from you, that can prove detrimental or destructive to your next season. Don't idolize the level you're on, understand it. We can get so fascinated with the process and with the opportunities and the people that are entering our lives that we tend to idolize it and we don't want to move from it when it was only when it was meant to be a seasonal preparation. We prolong it for a lifetime. Okay, so obviously, you know, lighting will go in and out because of where I'm doing the video, but it is what it is, alright? But that don't stop the content from going forth. So anyway, so as I was saying, that pruning is the cutting away or the reducing of something by removing the unwanted parts. God wants to remove some stuff from our lives, but we're so caught up in it, we're so caught up in the moment, the feeling, the opportunity, that we don't give everything to him. We always want to be in control because it's a human trait, but we always want to have control. We always want to know what's the next step, or we don't see nothing wrong with what we're doing or how we are. And God is like, you can't go into this next level. You can't, you know, be elevated if you like this, because a common thing that is said is that you can get an opportunity, you can get this big job, you can get this, you know, whatever you want. You can get this big opportunity, but what carries you to the next level is not the same thing that's going to maintain you on that level. It's basically saying that your character maintains it. So whatever you do can get there. You can get you to the next level, but it's your character that maintains where you are right now. And pruning helps to develop your character. You can't just step into something blindly without, you know, studying it, without having experience with it, having exposure to it, and expect that, oh, you're going to exceed and you're going to, you know, pass everybody else that's been on that level. Well, there's some exceptions. I mean, life has an exception, but I don't understand why we feel as though we can just step into something without being knowledgeable of it, even in the slightest bit. When it comes to school, you have to study. When it comes to the Bible, you have to study. When it comes to business plans, business construction, architecture, you have to study, you have to train yourselves. So pruning, think of pruning as the courtyard, the training ground, where you have to learn the skills before you can play the game. And a lot of times we want to play the game before we even learn the game. We even learn the skills to play the game, right? And that's why when a lot of us are thrown into a certain position, or we're thrown into this new opportunity, sometimes we fail, and sometimes we fail hard, and we fail quick, because what we were supposed to learn in one season, we neglected it, and we say, you know, I got this under control, I'm ready for it. And we weren't. We just weren't. So, and as I said before, premature elevation can seem like a curse instead of a blessing. So when something has come through for you, when you've been praying for this for so long, and you finally got it, if you neglected the season where you're supposed to prepare yourself for it, it will seem like too much. You'll feel overwhelmed. You'll feel like, was this really what I was praying for? And nothing is wrong with failing, but when you were supposed to get something done, and when it was supposed to propel you into the next level, or the next opportunity, or even the person you were supposed to be, because we didn't take the time out to really study, we didn't take the time out to analyze and introspect, we didn't take the time to build our character, it's like we take one step forward and 5 steps backward. It's not even like an experience where you fail but you learn from it. It's an experience where you fail and you're so lost as to why you failed. You're so lost as to what happened. And if you haven't watched my video on introspection, just, you know, to give you some lights, you can go click the card up there. You can be ready for the promotion, you can be ready for the elevation, but you're not ready for the stress. You're not ready for the backlash, you're not ready for the hate, you're not ready for the time management that you were supposed to learn in a certain season, but you neglected it because you thought, I have this under control, I've been doing this for years. You might be doing something for years, but that does not mean that you shouldn't perfect it. That does not mean that you shouldn't improve it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try to find out new things about it. Just as how technology advances over the years, even months, it's just as how we should always evolve and learn more about the skills or the gifts that we are given in this lifetime. Another thing with pruning, another thing even with elevation or responsibility, is that a lot of people will say that they're ready, but then when it comes to sacrificing and it comes to giving more of yourself than you're used to, you feel as though it's robbing you of your time. It's robbing you of your pleasures in life. It's robbing you from going out with your friends. And I'm not saying, but that's where time management comes in. And especially if you're just put in this position, you're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to say, okay, I may not be able to spend this hour, or this, let me not say, maybe I won't be able to spend this, entire 5 hours with my friends or entire 5 hours with my family. Maybe I'm going to have to cut it down to 1 hour just for now, because I need to learn and perfect what I'm doing. I need to understand the ropes. I need to get every information, every strategy that I can get. And if you're a mentor or you've ever been mentored by somebody, a lot of times what they might say to you may sound very weird and like, what do you mean? How can I do this? Or why do I have to do all of this just to do that? It's just like even if you're playing basketball or any sport and you're in the training room and they're teaching you the basics. You've been doing this for years. You're like, but I know all of this stuff. I'm just ready to go play. I'm ready to do whatever I need to do on the court. And they're like, perfect it, work on it. You can be doing this for a long time, but work on it. And if you don't, what happens is that when you go on the field, you embarrass yourself, or something simple might trip you up and you lose the match, right? So perfect your gift, perfect your skill, and stop thinking that because I know of it or I've been doing it for a while means that I know everything about it. You constantly learn in this life. You constantly learn new things about yourself, about the world, about people. So just something for you to bear in mind. Now, pruning doesn't perfect you. Even though you're trying to perfect a skill and perfect something about you, guys, they're also working. Yeah, so even though you're trying to perfect a skill or perfect a gift or perfect something about you, or just to get to know you better, or even if it's time management or something, pruning does not perfect you. It makes you better. It evolves you, but it prepares you for the process that you're going to go through. And that is why pruning is so important for your posture. Because even in pruning, if your posture is not right, then your process is gonna fail. Your process is gonna seem so overwhelming, so frustrating, so just like it's just gonna feel like you're going through the worst thing ever. When if you had the right posture, if you had the right approach, the right attitude, the right mindset towards it, it wouldn't seem this difficult. It'd be easy for you to identify what everything else is preparing you for. And I'll use COVID for an example. A lot of people have various views. Some people may say quarantine was the worst thing that could have happened to me. I had to stay inside and I couldn't see my friends and I was just stuck with these people and I couldn't be bothered. And other people will be like, it's the best thing that could have ever happened to me. For, Christians or spiritual people, they'll tell you that, I got closer to God. I spent so much time with God. I got to know myself better. I got to know Him better. Other people will tell you, say, I started my own business through quarantine. And I never thought I could do this because I never had the time. I never thought I had the confidence to do this. A lot of people got opportunities that they would never have gotten if they were not in quarantine. Your perspective and your attitude, your whole posture in general is very important in pruning. Because when pruning coming like the fire, you go through the fire because diamond have got under pressure. If you're not sure what you're doing, if you're not sure about the season, if you just don't have the right approach to anything, your pruning will seem like it'll kill you, when honestly it's not meant to break you. It really isn't. And I'll use an example that God gave to me at one point. And it says, basically I was playing with elastic, alright, and I keep stretching it. I was like, oh, but this get longer every time I stretch it, and whatever. And in that moment, God said to me, I'm not stretching you for you to break. I'm stretching you so you can be flexible, that you can have enough surface space for that, so that when your blessing comes, you'll be well prepared. You'd have enough space for everything that I've given to you, right? But he also said this: when you're stretched by the right person, you extend, you expand. But when you're stretched by the wrong person, you break. And I challenge you to ask yourself, what am I allowing to stretch me? Who am I allowing to stretch me? Is it something that is good or something that is bad? When I feel like I'm being stretched, do I feel like, oh, I'm being prepared for something? Does it feel like, oh, God is trying to teach me something? Or, oh, this experience is trying to expose me to something that I always wanted to do in my life? Is this opportunity preparing me for a job, preparing me for my career field, preparing me for something else I never even imagined, but it seems so interesting and I have a passion for it? Or do I feel like I'm being stretched and mega broke? Like, I'm being stretched and this feels devastating. Like, I don't even feel like I'm going anywhere. I feel so stagnant. I feel so afraid. I feel so fearful of what is happening. I'm just overwhelmed, stressed out, but depressed. Like, what is stretching doing to you? What is it doing to you? Even though you're being stretched, how are you feeling? What is the outcome of all of this stretching? Have you gotten some revelation? Have you gotten some insight as to why you're being stretched, or how you're being stretched, and who you're being stretched by? You know? And the last thing I have here is, we can go through the same process but come out completely different. Not because it looks the same mean it's the same. And that's true. A lot of people, even for people who sympathize or empathize with people, we can go through the same struggle but come out with two different perspectives, come out with two different outcomes. You could be in the season and you're reflecting. I could be in the season and be getting revelation, like I be getting some inspiration and some word from Jesus. While you're reflecting on your life, you're reflecting on who you used to be and how far you've come. Let me use this example. Not because we have the same opportunities or the same struggle means that we're going to have the same outcome. And if I can find it, I'll probably insert a picture of what I'm about to explain. So these two boys had this alcoholic dad. And even though they came from an alcoholic family, their dad was an alcoholic. One turned out to be an alcoholic himself, and the other was a business owner, was a multi-million business owner. And the truth is, that even comes in with the whole pruning thing. Your situation may be your pruning. What you're in may be your pruning. Your circumstances may be what is pruning you, what is building your character, what is building your mindset, what is actually preparing you for the world or preparing for what you want to do. And it's up to you to decide what you're going to do with that season. It's up to you to decide what you're going to do with all the lessons in that season. Are you going to make it become the best of you or the worst of you? Are you going to let it overcome you, or are you going to overcome it?